Yes, peace and blessings, royal family. You know, I got a question asking about how do you activate or self-activate your DNA? How you connect your genetics? Could it be done? Well, it can be done. You know what? It's so funny. That's what all my videos is about, really. It's like if you go back to my first videos I was posting, I started posting about self-activation and genetic activation. I even have one how to activate your DNA with light, which is still the same today. Ain't nothing changed. It always was, always will be. Everything happens through light. Light heals you. Before this pseudo way of healing that they do, and the only reason I know it's all pseudo is because of, our ancestors' records. Especially in Egypt, they never used no type of equipment, no medical device. Everything was done through the astral world. You know, every sickness you have in you and disease is a god. Is a god that you done perverse your magnetic field and it's resting in there thinking you're something else, like a tree or a dog or animal. You cause it on yourself. It could be from the foods. That's the number one cause of cancer. You know that. Something that belongs in a tree or is inside of a pet or animal got in your body. That's the chemicals they feed us. Remember, they put bat shit in the Doritos, all types of funny things. We don't know what's shit like monosodium glutamate and all that. We don't even really know what's high fructose corn syrup. Whatever. But anyways, the point is, we've been using light. Light was the form of healing. We used it to heal ourselves. Shapes and colors. There was no such thing as doctors, but everybody at that time knew how to astral project, knew how to leave their body. So everybody was already one with those, everything you see in this reality, like the trees behind me, just about everything has an actual ethereal being that represented everything. There's nothing excluded, so it wouldn't be in your reality. So like when you go to your night lessons, when you go to sleep, that's who you see, that's who you deal with. And if your consciousness is awake and you're conscious of your dreams, you're conscious of your night journeys in the tree, you will actually get to learn the gods is from the scents you smell to the colors you see. And once you understand them, you will see that all of them is the same. And so once you know them, it's like you could actually see them in doing whatever they're doing. So if they was on your body, most people could see auras, especially empaths, which is another topic we're going to discuss right now too, because the way you're going to get to this is through being an empath. And the thing with empath, because they're very sensitive to energy, that's what most people that you would say, prophets, healers, anyone that deal with shamanistic work, any type of those metaphysical crafts, you have to actually have some type of super sensitive perception to be able to tune in. When we talk in all these super sensitive perception and empath, then you get the writers of these spiritual books. These spiritual books, it was equated to the first person by the Egyptians, which is Thoth. Thoth, we can't go into the physical of Atlantean and all this stuff. We're not going to go there right now. But we know the basics. You understand? Thoth became so great. You remember I tell you, to be a guy, you have to be a secret with everything you do. And he was the one who was the god of thought. Thoth is thought, your thoughts. But not your thoughts. Excuse me. Your thoughts is the lower self thoughts. The higher self thoughts is one thought. For you to understand this concept, you got to understand oneness, the one. You got to understand the higher self and the lower self. those comes into play now. You being the lower self in the physical world, or just know about lower self things. But inside of you, you got a higher being that could write a book of just higher things that nobody could explain. But it has to be you in your higher self, by leaving the constructs and the definitions that you was taught in this world, looking at your neighbor more on self-defense than to actually help. You worry if you're going to do something to you. Yes, Brother Keith. And so once you understand these concepts right here, I'm not saying to trust people, because, we already discussed in previous videos the sons of God and the sons of man. You know the difference. Sometimes even the sons of God is like, a nuisance. So you will have to learn how to balance out your life. You understand? So now, when you're in your higher self, which takes a lot of time of being alone, this is what's in theosophy and the occult world. Excuse me again, the thyroid thing. We're talking about silence, quietness. That's why I told y'all before to watch that movie Wild Wild Country about Osho. It's just a good lesson about the higher self, the lower self, and how life works. But now the higher self, as we're talking about, is one mind that we could say this higher self was attributed to a few higher beings that came before us to give us these spheres. You remember, I don't know if I told you about the ascended master named Afri. He was like one of the first indigos, or what we call a demion back in Lemuria. That when we was primitive, he actually was one of the first to ascend, to be an ascended master, a higher self. His higher self granted all indigos a higher self. We was able to enter that sphere of higher selfness. You understand? So when we talking about now Thoth and the higher self, the Emerald Tablet type situation, you're talking about now Tahuti, as he was called back then. So you realize anybody could be Thoth, and everybody is Thoth, and everybody should channel their higher self. And with this, you have different branches or epochs in time, with Thoth taking on different names, such as Hermes Trismegistus. He was also Apollonius. He's also known as Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. It's you could equate him to Moses. It's a lot of things that we don't understand. In Egypt, for instance, back then when Thoth time was, and we're talking Hermeticism, the actual writing of the Hermetic books and hymns, it was the precursor to the one when the Europeans came and put it all under one doctrine called the Bible. And religion is a system. It's a government system, so we can't equate it to the sacred book. Sacred books been around since the Bhagavad Gita and all those from way before we could even start documenting time. They had already higher self writings, and that's what you could do when we do poetry, rap, draw. As an artist, even anything to do with artistry, you're channeling your higher self. So in Egypt, all the high priests was called Thoth. They not just me. You can't just look at me and say, yo, Enki. You're Enki too. As long as you're channeling the higher self, you can't channel, you can't just say to yourself, I'm Enki. You actually go to a sphere, it's a radio station you tune to. Think about it when we talk about personalities and characteristics that we use mirroring, using our mirror neurons. We actually pick up these things, from gangster shit to karate movies, whatever it is. Kids think they're Superman and Spider-Man. All those is actually things you could channel, they're spheres. And so once you realize that Thoth itself, everybody, and I'm not saying it just to be, rhetorical or anything. This is actual fact. You look into the priestcraft that was in Egypt, it was many people that contributed to the writings of Thoth, but they was all called Thoth. Just like in Canaan, Israel, everybody was called El. Everybody was El. Your name had to have El on it. That's why you have Daniel, Ezekiel, everybody. The El part was the God. You didn't have a last name. So the Danny would have been it, and then the El would have just been God, son of God, this of God, that's of God. So you understand what's going on here? So now, when we're dealing with Thoth, Thoth is the governor of the higher self you. Once you realize the higher self you now, you got to understand this frequencies like we were saying to yourself. You got yourself, the middle kingdom, and the lower kingdom. All three of them is part of one system of thought. Now when we're talking Thoth, we're talking, let me see, I want to get this straight. Before I go into what we're talking, you got to realize Thoth was portrayed now in Masonic stuff. Everything was hidden from him because Thoth knowledge is the key to civilized nations. And so once they found Thoth book and civilized themselves, they went on a quest looking for more Thoth books, anything of spirituality. So you got Thoth is Buddha, Thoth is Jesus. It's all the same. You got to realize it, and they know that, but they will put them under different names on purpose. The sacred writings is attributed to just Thoth. Now you got to realize, and when the Masonic people came, they switched it up. But you got to realize they worship Hiram Abiff. Hiram Abiff is the higher self abyss. That's it, higher self abyss. That's what they're saying, and that's what it means. The Abiff is really abyss. The abyss is Thoth. So when you hear them worshiping Hiram Abiff, they're worshiping Thoth as the abyss. Abyss again. Abyss, you hear the word? Abyssania. Everything connects. It's not a game. Now, with all of those, let's keep it going. You got to realize now, we got now Hermes is the second version of Thoth. This is now the European or the Greek now. They didn't want to use Thoth. They tried to spin it off and change the name up. So you got Hermes Trismegistus. It's Hermes twice born. That's still the same Thoth. Now, you know, Thoth had a son. That's why I said we can't get into his genealogy, his story, because that's the David family. He's the David line. He created all of that stuff. That's why it's real. You understand? So he had a son named Tat. A lot of the writings of the medieval times is equated to Tat. One of those writings is the Emerald Tablets. The Emerald Tablets now is about transmutation. How to go from the lower self to the higher self. So what do this got to do with genetics? What do this got to do with activating yourself? That's it. Nobody knew how to activate themselves back then. Only Thoth. Thoth left the books on how to activate yourself. What we get as the Emerald Tablets, it's not the real Emerald Tablet. We're getting a breakdown of what they think the Emerald Tablets say. You have to get different versions of it. It's long. It's like an encyclopedia. And I'm not talking about, there is Emerald Tablets that's hidden, but there's different forms of the Emerald Tablet book. You have to get the one on transmutation, the actual real one that's breaking it down to you, not the allegorical stories. You understand? The allegorical stories is fine, but they can't get you to where y'all want to get, which is the actual process of alchemy. So Thoth made up alchemy. It's hidden in biblical scriptures. You have to be able to ponder on them to understand it. That's Hermes. Hermes became science, everything. UFO making, electricity, just pondering on that knowledge. He breaks it down without telling you in detail, make you have to go to your higher self, which is a Noah. Once your Noah comes in, it's Noah again. And you would then be able to do everything. Okay, cool. So, in those books, if you read it, you will learn how to activate yourself through what's called alchemy. Now, I haven't read the books personally, so I can't break it down step by step. I know the processes, the negrito, the calcifications, the different aspects of it is within yourself. You're the whole formula for this melting pot to take place. But it's about denial, isolation, all of this make your lower self go into duality with yourself, and you have to bring out your higher self to fix all the conflicts and splits within yourself. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty, right? Basics of it is all of us that we look around us, we don't see nothing more than what we're taught. Now, with it, you will have to learn the concept of light. Light is what you are. Light is what you need to awaken. Your body feed off of light. Everything is light. Sunlight is the first step. Get all of it you can, especially if you're a Jedi. I'm I'm turning it from the melanated to the indigenous, the original God children. All God's children, no matter what color race you are, we're called the Jedis. So I'm going to be using that from now on to make it simple for everybody and update terminology a little. You know, I'm going backwards in time. Everybody going this way, I'm going this way. We're going to meet around. I'll catch you when I'm done. All right? So anyways now, light, which we basically could start off with the sun, you hear what it does. I don't have to sit here and make a big, post about what the sun's activation does, from actually purifying your blood to taking out all the toxicants and grounding you, getting rid of cravings. Then it start giving you higher spiritual powers. After about 6 months, it start working on other things on you. These is what I'm talking about. Those things now is the activation of your DNA. Let me tell you. When I learned about this DNA activation stuff, I didn't learn about it like how from a movie, from watching YouTube. It was like you get it as a download and you start doing the strangest motherfucking things in the world that I had to be in secret. If y'all see how the activation process works, it look like a retarded nigga. You be like, no, this nigga retarded, this nigga crazy. I was just doing it. Later on, I found out that's what I'm doing. And then everything started to just make sense. It was beautiful, man. It was beautiful. When I saw my first cell, it was just like then I saw it again. And then I came across it again. And then from seeing it those times, I noticed it in videos. I noticed it in water. I noticed it in the air. I noticed it in the sun. I noticed it in the cloud. All of a sudden, it was right in front of my face all along. Next thing you know, mitosis. Start pushing cells and cells. Cells and cells. I got the videos. If you haven't seen it, you see the cells. Look at the video mitosis. It's showing you how it's done. I can't give you God's information. Now we're talking about the pearls. But I can lead you towards it, and it's up to you to go if you're hungry to find it. That's how it works. I found it on my own, no help, just me and the angels. It's funny, when I say this part, it goes to show you how they said that it was like a savage world, savage nation. Hunter-gatherers just all of a sudden got civilized, and civilization started going on. Barbarianism went on the roll. Everybody was on the law of conquering. An angel or demon had to drop it in the DNA, put it in the psyche, and all of a sudden it changes. So you will stay unconscious thinking that it's a book you could read or something. Nah, you got spiritual help. And no matter how intelligent you go look in a book, until you get that spiritual help, you ain't gonna know what's going on. That's real talk. I'm not here to say it in no superficial way, no bragging way. What I'm saying is go find your spiritual guide that's in you. Your mentor is in you. The one that will actually show you everything to self-activating your DNA. But you're going to be doing some crazy looking stuff that might look like you're retarded, or something wrong with your face, contorting yourself, doing all this stuff. But actually, you don't know why you're doing it. You're doing it because your DNA has control over the body. That's the war between the two. You just follow, allow it. Get out your body. Leave your body alone when you go into meditation. Watch it do the most awkward or soft shit. This is called Kundalini too. All of this is in Kundalini. When you're talking about Kundalini, get Kundalini biology. You'll see cells. They're showing you cells. What do that got to do with Kundalini? Sitting doing yoga postures. It's all about transmutation, transformation. It's a biochemical process. electrical process. It's a magnetic process. All of this takes place between the caduceus of Hermes or Thoth to Huti. The thing about this is that without the right knowledge, it could hurt you. When you activate in DNA, only thing you're doing is activating back what was the animal you, the demon you, the angelic you, the God you. By you doing each one of those frequencies I just said, it's something you have to live with and deal with. It's another side of yourself. Your perception go up, your senses go up, you see things. You body double, quick. You be like, let me go see what Damien is doing. Demion. Let's say it right, the Demion. Instead of the Greek way, Damien. Demion. Agos Damien. Agos Demion. Alright. It's the same way. We go sit. I go sit. So let me go see what my man doing. All of a sudden, it's like a spiral. You spiral through. You spiral for a while. Might even get you dizzy a little, but you come out. You might come out in this air, black and white, cloudy, but you can make it out. And you travel, wherever you traveling to, and then you see everything. This is not a journey of perception as far as mind perception. It's visual. Everything is visual in this whole journey. Your eyes is cells. Cells is eyes. Everywhere is cells. So you got access to see everything. Your casa, everything. So you need to know this information as we go into this self-activation. But basically now, let me do this before we get too long into this. You know, for you to get the whole process, all you got to do is stare at the light, bro. Stare at the light. Empaths love light. They stare at light, bright lights. Why? Why are they doing that? Do the studies on empath. Google it and find out. Empath's obsession with lights, or love to stare at lights. Or, we feed off of that. That's what we eat. Light. Any light source. We're absorbing that light. You put a bunch of black people in the club and put one light bulb around them. You won't see no light. They'll absorb the whole light bulb of light. We could do that. We eat that. That's how we feed. So if you understand that, when you stare at the light, this activates your DNA. When you stare at the sun, the white part of your eyes is like a capacitor charging up. It's the same way it works. Your whites of your eyes charge up like a capacitor, and they give off a burst, an implosion of your DNA. From there, you'll see fractal start popping over you. You have crystallization of your skin. You see ancestors sticking out as shadow beings through your skin. You have glossiness to you, a lot of glossy and crystallization occurring. You have shadow, ghost-like images, like how you see here, these two spots. You see all over, it comes up over your nose, over your face. You just turn into like a ghost image too, a glossy image, a shiny image. This is calcification of your DNA. It's an upgrade. You look like you could see like images in your hands. You see your cells on your skin start sticking out, forming circles, chakras. But it starts from sun staring. You could accomplish everything with the sun. Just you and the sun activates your DNA. But you want privacy, do it in your own home. You got a problem, you can't stare into the sun, get low-level lights. The more intense it is, the more extreme you're going to have DNA change, but it'll work. But get yourself a nice light that you could see and just stare at it. That's it. Some people get crystals. You can get any type of crystals. Your amethyst, let it catch a light. And the glare from the light, catch off of the light. That's another thing. You're more to activate off a reflection of a light than to hit the light source. Do you hear what I'm saying? Even if your sun's staring, You better off using a mirror and catching the sun through the mirror and staring to the mirror for DNA activation than staring up at it. That one targets specific areas. Your body will do it on its own. Whatever the area is, it's not for me to tell you. Your body is like a gyroscope that it instantly puts it to where it wants to put it. And it comes over you like sheath layers. It doesn't just come with cells, which is what you have to do. Once you put the cell in the cell, you actually put another sheath over you. It's like you put an aura, you took one off. Whichever way, my research isn't all the way to tell you if it's off or on. You put something on you that actually changes your whole Merkaba. It's like you keep upgrading your Merkaba, upgrading your Merkaba, upgrading your Merkaba. Certain information, data coming up now, seeing backwards. You looking right here, you can see behind. All types of data start working in your favor. And once you get to a certain level, you laying in your bed, you sitting down, you see something spinning. Energy will just start manifesting itself. It's like a ghost magnetic field of a glare, like start just appearing. And sometimes you see smoke, light smoke, just flying by you. And you see it in some of my videos when I'm by the beach or whatever, and I'm doing them up close, you just see distorted energy. That's the ether energy. You know, it's popping, it looking like a swirl, but it's like I told you, making triangles at beyond the speed of light speed. We call those particles, or, you know, it's the basic shape that the ether make, which is the triangle. You know, if one is vibration, this is oscillation, and then when it come back down, this is the flicker of the light you're seeing. It's just a repetitive system that is going beyond the speed of light, and they give us our reality, but we could break it. You understand? But it's through magnetics that break it. It take a long time to build up your magnetic field, but you start now. That's why you always see the old sages, the wizards, the gray beards. You see everybody in Avengers get the beard now, and it's the old that is rocking, because that's when the God power come on to you. Your magnetic field should be strong enough by then to actually manipulate matter. But you have to start now. Some people could do it next 2 years. Next person could do it out the gate. It's all on your magnetic field, your Merkaba, how strong your will is. Well, that's pretty much how you would activate yourself, you know, and it's the oldest form. If you look at and Google, if you think that I'm a joke or this is not making any sense, just Google DNA activating with light, and you will see it comes up. There'll be like new research. DNA could activate with using light. They're making it like a science or something they're looking into. But that's the facts. We didn't use all those stuff that whatever. I don't know what they think is doing to activate DNA. All they're doing is splicing it up and cloning it. But you could activate yourself, and you're supposed to. Right about now, all higher self beings, if you let yourself go, stop following your culture, stop doing what everybody else do. You already got something new built into you. Just delete the old program and you see something new. Especially if you're geared towards nature. You might just be standing by the tree, getting energy from the tree. You could suck energy from the tree. It's a lot to do. It's a lot to do. Water manipulation, air, forces. All of this is here for your disposal, and you got to learn it and experiment with it. But I just gave you the basics for activating your DNA. Just stare into the light. Get plenty of sun into your eyes. Your eyes got a connection to every neuron in your body. And so by you sending light down each neuron, it first heals yourself. You have to reconnect all your neurons. You have to detoxify your body. The sun will do everything you need. Keep doing it, and automatically you have genetic upgrade. How you know when your DNA upgrade? Follow me on Facebook. I'm gonna show you how you know it's bugged out. My skin, when I go into meditation or I get induced, where I say I'm under the spirit, my skin changes. It forms letters. I get a whole bunch of letters come up. Little, you need like to zoom in a lot. You keep zooming in. My skin get it. You could keep zooming in like you was going through a net. And keep going. And then you see down there numbers. We're all mathematical numbers. Vibratory force, that's what they don't understand. They could decipher all of this. But they can't decipher what holds it together, which is God. But anyway, what I'm saying is, when you get into this altered state, your skin changes. It calcifies and turns into crystallized letters, numbers, symbols, where you come from. I'm going to show it to you on my Facebook. I'm going to post them today. So if you want to see, just check it out. I already gave you my information for you to join me on Facebook, which is Damean, Damean, and Samuel. You know what I'm saying? So hit me up. You know us L's definitely is on top, you know. It's written. University of Conscious Science. One love.